Then I wanted to talk about 3 cups or 3 glasses. So when we're talking about listening, it's not enough to just listen. In Buddhism we talk about 3 cups or 3 glasses. So one situation is, this has the capability of holding liquid, but it's cracked. So you put liquid into it and it's leaking out. So one is the leaky cup, the leaking cup. So that means when you're listening, you can't retain the information. So you check, when I'm listening, am I retaining the information or is it leaking out? In English we say it goes in one ear and it goes out the other, you know? So that's the leaking glass. Then another situation is where the glass is upside down or if the glass is full. So again, it can perform the function of a glass, but you can't add any more to it. And so when you're listening, are you so full of your own ideas, your own thoughts? Because often what people do is when they start to listen, they've already made up their mind what they're going to say, or they're practicing what they're about to say. So they're thinking, oh, I could say this, no, but this sounds better. And so they're practicing in their own mind. And this person's saying, oh, it was really terrible, you know, this awful thing happened. And you go, oh, yeah. And you're thinking, now, I'd say this and this. So not really listening because you're focusing on yourself and your own thoughts. So that's the second one. Then the third one is this glass has been used for something really smelly and dirty and disgusting. And even though it's been washed, there's still a smell. So when you put a liquid, a water into it, and you taste it, it tastes of the smelly liquid, the bad liquid that was in the cup before. So what that means is you're mixing your own delusion, your own negative mind, with what you're hearing. You're putting it together. So check the 3 things. Are you mixing what you're hearing with your own negative mind? Are you being clear? The second one is your mind so full of itself that it's not listening. And then the third one is it going in this way and out this way? Are you holding on to the information? So these are 3 ways of checking how do you listen. And this is very important for listening, for developing the art of listening. And I think especially reflective listening, giving it back, helps to check whether you're really understanding, whether you're mixing what you're hearing with your own thoughts, and whether you're listening clearly. First of all, we need to be aware that we have the 3 glasses. Maybe not equally, maybe in different times, different things, you know. But maybe by reflecting, by thinking inside oneself, am I really listening? Or am I letting go of what I'm listening? Is it just passing through? So we need to check, am I able to tell you what you just said? Or what you said 5 minutes ago or half an hour ago? Because sometimes we say, oh yeah, and it's like we're not focusing at all. So are you able to repeat what somebody said maybe half an hour ago to check whether you're really listening? I think the antidote for not really listening, for not being present, is meditation. Because meditation is something annoying that you have to do. Annoying because you're told, keep coming back to one object, the breath, the sensation of the breath. So keep coming back. You bring your mind back, your mind goes. You come back, your mind goes. So there's this constant struggle between the mind that has the habit of going and you bringing it back through awareness, through mindfulness. So I think it's annoying, but it's very useful to have this coming back, coming back, coming back. In the West now, we train for multitasking, for going in many different directions. It actually doesn't work. You know, we think that we can do many things at once, but what we discover is we can't remember all the things that we've done. So we're not doing them consciously. So I think this sense of losing the information, the antidote is to be able to concentrate, to hold the mind on one thing. So check whether meditation helps. I think the dirty cup is having the mind that is polluted, has its own way of viewing something, its own negative way of viewing something. And it's adding that negativity to the situation. So, for instance, somebody comes to tell you about a problem and you don't like that person. So now aversion is added to the water, the liquid, the information. You're not hearing clearly because you think, I really don't like this person. I don't know if I trust what they're saying, etc., etc. You know? So you're adding a discrimination to the information, the liquid. So one thing is to be aware of the negative states of mind, the negative emotions as they arise, and the other is to have an appreciation for the opposite positive state of mind. To have an appreciation. Because when the negative mind arises, often we encourage the negative mind. You know? We sort of keep it going. And so, in order to remove it, we need to appreciate the opposite positive state of mind. That takes time. To apply the antidotes takes time, but definitely changes the negative. You can transform the negative into the positive. One of the first ways of doing it is dedication. Motivation and dedication. Because if you motivate for something positive, you meet your enemy, what are you going to do? Go against your motivation or change the way you behave towards the enemy? This is how motivation can really help in the day. And then at the end of the day, dedication, focusing on somebody that you don't like, that you wouldn't help, and giving them the benefit of the day. This is so difficult. You know, do I really have to, you know, it's like, do I really have to give this, you know? But it's only mental. It's starting to produce a willingness to help somebody that you don't like. And this is very valuable in business because we don't always work with people that we like. Your boss is not always going to be the person that you would choose. So what do? You stay or you go? You go. Okay, I'm going, you know. I'll go and work for Castrol or Shell, you know, like that. Okay, I'm going to work for Shell and find a better boss than you. And you go to there and you find the boss is worse. And you think, how's this happen? You know? So sometimes it's like that by changing situations, we don't become happier, we become more unhappy because we're taking the negative mind with us. We're going to find the awful boss. We're searching for them because we've got a negative mind. So you take the negative mind with you, you don't leave it at Repsol. You pack it and you take it, yeah? So when you have these negative emotions and you're mixing it, then important is to have the antidotes, to apply the antidotes, to change the mind into something more positive. And the leaky one, so you losing the information, you need concentration. Having a negative state of mind, you need to have an appreciation of the positive and want to change. And the mind that's very full of itself, the ability to let go of itself, the ability to let go, you know, to clear the mind out rather than to be so full. The mind, I think, is like something that keeps gathering, keeps taking. Oh, I like this, I like this, I like this. And it's like the mind becomes completely full of some good things, but a lot of garbage, a lot of rubbish. And we don't normally do anything about the rubbish. Let's clean it out. So it's only when we realize that the mind has its rubbish, you know, like the plastic flowers we've kept for 20 years just in case. Like that sort of thing, you know? The old things that we did, but we keep going back to them. Oh dear. Or that person said something 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Why did they say that? So these negatives that we keep going back to keep recreating our suffering. It's like we're rejoicing in a negative way. So now to look at the mind like a room that is so full of furniture, but some of it is just falling apart, rubbish. Why don't we clean it out? Why don't we allow ourselves to have more space? So the mind's nature is spacious. The mind's nature is not cluttered, but we're choosing to put so much into the mind that it's becoming very full. So you can choose to let go of some of the things that you don't need, to let go. And again, this is mindfulness, awareness, and you can develop this habit within meditation. Because in meditation, you become aware of the thoughts as they're arising. Blah, 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 you know, and you think, back to the breath, and there's blah, 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 you know, and then like several conversations going on all at the same time, and it's like blah, 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 and you know, back to the breath. It seems impossible, because we've got so much going on. But you can learn to focus your mind on one thing. And by focusing your mind on one thing, you can let go of all the other things that are not necessary at this time. You can choose. It's not meditation is controlling you, it's meditation is a tool that can be used by you in order for you to have control over your mind. So when these three cups arise, you know they're arising, you don't have to do it. You don't have to follow it. Like when the negative emotions arise, you don't have to follow it. But if we have the habit, we follow. I say to people, you're like a cow, you know a cow? With a ring through the nose and a rope. You're being pulled along like that. So is that what you want to be? And some people say, well, you know, to be a cow is not so bad. You know? Sometimes you just give up. So sometimes I think it helps to have this picture in your mind of what you wouldn't like to be. You go from being a rock star to a cow with the ring through the nose, the rope, and it's the dirty glass is pulling you along, or the full glass is pulling you along, or the leaky glass is pulling you along, or the negative mind is pulling you along. It is controlling you. So do you like that feeling of being controlled? I think not, right? You're the rock star, you want to be in control. And so this gives you then the feeling, I must change. I must do something about this. Because you get this picture in your mind that you don't like. Ooh. But it's a negative picture about a negative emotion, about a negative way of doing something. So what that produces is the thought, I must change. I must be more positive. I must do something about this. This is good. You know, but to have just a negative thought, it's another negative thought. But I think, you know, I'm being pulled along like this. No, thank you. I don't like this. I want to be strong and in control, right? What we want.